folks, I saw a video the other day on Twitter, the home of zero context law enforcement videos that nobody bothers to research, and it immediately grabbed my attention. It was a 28-second video of soldiers arresting people in a gas station. What? That doesn't make any sense. You're right. Well, I am right. Doesn't matter. When something doesn't make sense, there's usually information missing. So I am going to walk you through the process I went through to figure out what on earth was going on. This video won't be about the reason why people are rioting. And yes, I understand why people are rioting, but I'm not here to tell you how to have an opinion or what your opinion should be. First, what did I already know about this situation? Well, I know that this is happening in Minneapolis, that the National Guard has been deployed to Minneapolis due to rioting. Well, mobilized might be a better word, semantics. And there is a curfew in Minneapolis, at least at the time that this video was posted. So, first question, is the National Guard allowed to assist law enforcement in this manner? Likely, yes, with the appropriate permission from the state. If they were federal troops, that would be an entirely different story, thanks to things like the Posse Comitatus Act, which prohibits the use of federal troops for law enforcement purposes without permission from the president. But these aren't federal troops, they're more of a well-regulated state militia, and I can personally confirm that the National Guard gets used to assist law enforcement thanks to my trip to D.C. to protect the presidential inauguration. The second question is, are these even National Guard soldiers? Answer: No, they actually aren't. They have suppressors on their rifles, which is the first giveaway. The National Guard can't afford that. Next, their pant legs aren't tucked into their boots. Now, I could see one person having jacked up pants, but all of them? No. Also, what on earth is going on with the bright green squares on their uniforms? What? Unfortunately, the video isn't a good enough quality for me to actually figure out what's going on, so I can't really go into detail about that, but that is weird. And finally, why does all of their gear match? Let me explain that one. You want to figure out from a distance if a unit is National Guard? Look at their IOTVs or plate carriers. There's going to be a lot of hand-me-down digital camo that's left over from the last time the uniform. Goodness, excuse me. Do you mind? I'm doing a thing here. Anyway, there's going to be a lot of leftover camo from the last time that the uniforms were switched over from the digital camo to the OCPs. It's going to be a pretty good way of figuring out that they're National Guard. Now, my guess is that the people we see in this video is state SWAT. Third question, how would a person even know that these are police? Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but the police vehicles on the left are a pretty good indicator. And the fact that the police aren't immediately arresting these people for an unlawful detention or whatever they're doing seems like a pretty good indicator that they're working with the police and have the correct authorities do what they're doing. Additionally, the quality of the video is not very good, so it's entirely possible that whatever is on their uniforms does say who they're with. In fact, it's pretty likely. Fourth question, does the curfew apply to these people? Well, there are exemptions to the curfew. It doesn't apply to law enforcement, fire, medical personnel, people authorized by the city of Minneapolis to be out past curfew, the National Guard, news media, people fleeing danger, and people going directly to work. Well, I think we can hazard a guess that none of these people are any of those things, with the possible exception of going to work. So would that be a good excuse? No, you have to travel directly to or from work. You don't stop in between. Now, with the exception of the people who are named in those exemptions, anyone who is on public property is subject to the consequences of violating curfew, which is a misdemeanor offense, which means that you can be arrested for it. But hold on a second, that gas station is private property, so the police shouldn't be able to arrest them there. Well, no. Until teleportation becomes a viable means of transportation, we're going to have to assume that people drove there on a public road during a curfew, in violation of said curfew. And if police witness you commit a crime on public property, yes, they can follow you onto private property. And of course, that's not, that is subject to certain restrictions and exemptions, etc. But in this case, those would likely not apply. Fifth question, why would there be such an intense police presence at a gas station? Now, here's where things got interesting. I had to do a bit of digging. Honestly, it wasn't even that much digging. But I found this, a video from April 11th of a strip mall that had been heavily vandalized and looted. Well, this certainly is the sort of thing that will get police attention, but what does this have to do with the gas station? I'm glad you potentially asked. 30 minutes prior, the same Twitter account posted a video showing police at a gas station that looked suspiciously like the same one from the original video, telling people to disperse.
The parking lot of the strip mall to the north include Dollar Tree, Boots, CNA, Giant Watch, and any other businesses. If you remain in that parking lot, you will be placed under arrest. This includes the media.
Well, the original video that I found didn't have a timestamp on the footage itself, so maybe it did happen on the 11th, but hold on. Did the police say that even the media has to disperse? I thought the media was exempt. Well, they'd be exempt from the curfew, but not from orders to disperse. In fact, until April 16th, when a restraining order was temporarily approved to give journalists a dispersal exemption, the media was subject to those orders to disperse, just like everybody else. And since this occurred prior to April 16th, those dispersal orders would appear to be valid and enforceable. So we started with a video of the National Guard arresting people for violating a curfew, and with just a little bit of research, we discovered it was actually the police arresting people for failing to disperse and for violating a curfew after a nearby strip mall was destroyed. Failing to disperse and violating a curfew, both arrestable offenses. It's weird. It's almost like with some context, the action seen in this video actually makes sense. Now, Blue, you might say. Of course you know these things. You have training and experience. The average citizen wouldn't know. Well, why not? What's your excuse? Not knowing this stuff has gotten people killed, so why aren't you brushing up on it? Too many people are avoiding learning about the law and law enforcement because they don't like police. No, learn as much as you can so when you see police messing up, file complaints and lawsuits armed with knowledge, not just anger. In conclusion, if you don't want to be arrested by police for violating curfew and failing to disperse, I suggest not doing either of those things. And although I support the right to protest, I encourage you to know what the legal limits of protesting are, as well as the consequences of crossing a line into illegal riot territory. I'm not going to tell you not to riot, but don't come crying to me about the appropriate application of consequences as a result to your actions. Anyway, that's all I have. So until the next time, be good, stay safe.